Imagine being able to remember every minute detail of your life. You can recall what the weather was like, what you were reading, or what you wore to the shops at any minute, any hour, or any day stretching back decades. It sounds like some kind of parlour trick, but it's actually a real and very rare medical phenomenon. So far, scientists have identified 10 cases worldwide. And believe me, what these people can do will quite simply make your head spin. Take a ride with me down memory lane with veteran Hollywood actress Mary Lou Henner.
July 22nd of 1978. Here we go again. My first apartment that I moved into was 100 South Doheny, right down this street.
So driving along, all these different things, just
different little things. Yeah, for sure.
Mary Lou is no stranger to the limelight.
Let's have another warm Miami welcome for Mary Lou Henner.
In the 1970s, she starred in the sitcom Taxi.
See, I'd really like to have one person there that I don't care about impressing.
But among her family and friends, Mary Lou Henner has always been famous for remembering everything.
Hey Mom, what day was Valentine's Day in '79?
It was a Wednesday.
And you're right. I've never explained how you do that.
I don't do it. I just see it.
And you can remember your whole life?
Yes, I can remember my whole life. And some things come up like right away. And then some other things kind of come up a little more slowly, but eventually everything comes up.
I thought I'd see just how far back Mary Lou's memory goes.
Well, then by all means, just come to my party.
Picking at random an episode of Taxi filmed more than 30 years ago.
Thank you very much.
I had a look at the Taxi episode from 1978, Come As You Aren't. Do you remember
that
it?
was the 4th episode that we shot, and I had the blue dress on.
Alex?
See, that was going to be my first question to you.
What
Do you
dress?
remember what colour dress you wore to the party?
Yes. And,
So
so
that's
and I remember Tony's line, how come we can't go to the party too?
How come we can't go to the party too?
You know, it's like things come back. A line to Alex, you're maybe my best friend.
You're maybe my best friend.
And he turns around. You know, it's like the episode will come back to me, and I remember...
Mary Lou is one of just 10 people in the world who've been tested and proved to have superior autobiographical memory.
October 1st.
Pretty impressive, huh? I think so. So here we are today talking about long-term memory. Change of scenery in the background. This is my lounge room, so I can watch the football. So we're doing long-term memory in the lounge room, so you might want to remember that in your exam. Anyway, what are we talking about? Well, that lady was pretty impressive. She had some pretty amazing long-term memory. Dating back 30 years, she could remember days, minutes, all sorts of crazy stuff. So what is long-term memory? It's, as it says there, a relatively permanent memory system that holds vast amounts of information for a long time. So it's almost, well, it's pretty much unlimited, and it's permanent. The reason why you would forget anything is because you can't retrieve it, not because it's not there. So, how does it work? Well, it uses retrieval queues, and a retrieval queue is something that helps us locate and retrieve information from LTM. Basically like typing something into Google. Okay, if you type something into Google, then it brings up the websites or the pages that are relevant to what you put in the search box. Okay, it doesn't just bring up every single web page ever created. Alright? So how is it different from short-term memory? Well, you can see the comparison table there. Short-term memory has active information, so we have to be consciously aware of it. We can manipulate it. We can move it around. Okay. Long-term memory, the information is not active. Okay, it just sits in the background until we retrieve it and bring it forward into short-term memory. Short-term memory seems to store information based on its physical qualities, like whether it's auditory sound or visual information, and long-term memory stores information semantically, so according to meaning. We've talked about this in class already, but so very similar to the word wall that we have up in our classroom now. Okay. Short-term memory information is lost through decay or displacement, or if we overfill the short-term memory stores, whereas in long-term memory, information is lost through forgetting, which means we don't know how to retrieve the information that we have set up, okay, or that we've put in there. Okay, what are the different types of long-term memory? Well, the first one is procedural memory. This is the memory of actions, skills that have been learnt, or procedures that have been learnt. So we're knowing how to do something, okay? So the best way to do that is to show an example.
Step 1. Place chopstick inside of thumb and reach to the ring finger. Step 2. Place the other chopstick between the index finger and middle finger and hold by pressing with your thumb. Step 3. Freely move chopsticks by pressing thumb and only moving your index and middle fingers, like so. Congratulations, you now know how to use chopsticks.
Congratulations, you now know how to use chopsticks. If you pay attention to that and if you start to use them, you will create a procedural memory for how to hold chopsticks properly. Okay? And so the more you do it, like practice, the better it becomes. And so after a while, you can retrieve the information on how to do that through performance rather than having to consciously think about it. So you might see people in the food court at Northland or something like that who use chopsticks very easily. They don't have to actually think about it. They just do it. Next type of memory we have is declarative memory. Now there are two types of declarative memory, but declarative memory as the whole umbrella term is a memory about a specific fact or event that can be brought into conscious awareness, and you can declare something about it. My birthday is on the whatever day it is. Okay, Canberra is the capital city of Australia. Okay, you can make a statement about it, you can declare it. Okay, that's one easy way to remember it. So let's have a think about the two different ways that we can show you those types of memories. The first one is episodic. So declarative memories are specific events of personal experiences, autobiographical. The lady that you saw at the start has an amazing autobiographical memory. Okay? You might also be able to go back and remember specific events, like let's say a really cool birthday present that you got, or a birthday surprise, like what happened to little Lily here.
If you could go anywhere, where would you want to go? Why don't we go?
Okay, let's go.
Now. Today. I'm being serious.
We going?
We're leaving today to go to Disneyland.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking.
Are we done?
Yes, we're going. Are you excited? It's for your birthday!
Oh my God.
Happy birthday!
It's my birthday today.
No, in a week, but we're going. I'm crying too! I'm crying too! You excited? Give Daddy hugs!
Are you gonna worry about it?
We're going when Daddy gets home from work. When Daddy gets home from work. Do a happy dance! Yeah! I love you!
I love you too.
Okay, bye!
I don't know. She's hilarious. That's an episode that she's not going to forget ever, I don't think. And now that it's immortalized on YouTube, she doesn't get a choice. But anyway, that's an episode in that little girl's life. That is episodic memory. She can go back and remember that. Or she could just download herself on YouTube. But anyway, you get the general idea. The other one is semantic memory. This is memory about facts, information we have about the world, information that helps you be good at trivia, academic knowledge, general knowledge, the meanings of words. As I said the other day, you remembering what semantic memory is creating a semantic memory. Sorry if I confused you, but it's not really of any use apart from it's information that you need to pass a test. It's not necessarily personal to you in this regard. It's not an autobiographical memory. It's not an episode. It's just information that we have. Like great white sharks don't sleep. I know that's Mariam's favourite fact at the moment. So that's what we're talking about. Declarative memory, facts about the world. So how is all of this organised? Well, we've done a bit of work around this already in class, and it's organised through semantic networks. What does that mean? Well, basically, we store information in chunks connected by meaning. So they're all these different pieces of information are linked together. Okay, it's best if I just show you an example of this. So here we can see semantic network where information is stored in hierarchies. But basically the definition of a semantic network is long-term memory is organized systematically in overlapping and interconnecting networks of concepts and meaningful links. In psychology speak, we're calling a concept a node in this example. And you can see that here by the words that are highlighted in the light blue. So we have the word like animal, okay? That is the node, that is the concept. When you think of the word animal, you personally might think of lots of different things. You might think of dog, you might think of cat, you might think of all sorts of things, okay, that are animals. Because that node, that concept of animal has lots of links. So for example, it has skin, it can move around, it eats, it breathes. Here, if we then go down to the next node, which is bird, a bird is an animal. And the bird has wings, it can fly and has feathers, just like the canary. So this is a hierarchical semantic network. We talked about this in class, but you can see here how the concept, thinking of one concept, opens up a whole bunch of other concepts that are all linked together, okay, through meaning. So here you have another type of semantic network which shows us an example of spreading activation. And that means activating one node to increase the chance of activating other nodes. So if you think of a specific concept or a piece of information, while it might bring up the ideas of what you're actually thinking about, it might also bring up other ideas of other words or other concepts that are connected, but not necessarily what you're trying to retrieve from long-term memory. You can see that here. If we focus in on the word red, you might be trying to think of colours, in which case words like orange, yellow, green, they would all come into your consciousness. They would all be activated by spreading activation. But red might also connect with fire, or it might connect with fire engine, or it might connect with cherries or roses. All of these words are all connected to the word red. So if you're trying to think of a specific type of flower, you might initially think of red, because that's the colour of the flower. Then you go down to roses or violets. Yes, it's a violet, and then you might spread around to other types of flowers until you find the type of flower that you want. The word flower would also be activated as well. Okay? So, that is semantic network theory. That is something we've covered in class, and I think that that's relatively straightforward. It's important to remember the key words here in semantic network theory are spreading activation, and that is when you consider one node and one concept, and the other important word there is node, because that is the technical term for concept in this theory. Okay, so that's basically long-term memory in a nutshell. There's not much to it. It's permanent. It's almost infinite, which means we can store as much information as we absolutely possibly can get through in our lifetime, and we store it using semantic networks, which means we attach meaning to things. So if you think back to Baddeley and Hitch, when they were saying the more meaning you attach to something, okay, the deeper the processing, the better it's stored in long-term memory. That's what we're talking about here. It's about attaching meaning to things. Okay? So how do these memory systems work together? One example of them working together is a theory or a phenomena called the serial position effect, and where you can see short-term memory and long-term memory working together. Okay? So what is the serial position effect? Well, it shows us if we have a series of numbers, let's say we had 25 numbers, okay, you can't fit all 25 numbers in your short-term memory because, as you remember, You only get 7 plus or minus 2 items in your short-term memory. So even if you chunk, it's pretty hard to fit 25 numbers in your short-term memory. So if we're looking at a list of 25 numbers, okay, the serial position is talking about which number it is in the list. Okay, so if we had 6, 5 and 3, 6 would have the number 1 serial position, okay, because it's first. So what does all this mean? Basically, it means that if you had a list of 25 words and I gave you a list of 25 words and then asked you to remember them later, you would remember the words at the start and the words at the end. If you remember the words at the start, we call that the primacy effect. Okay? That is recall of items at the beginning of a list. If you remember the words at the end, that's called the recency effect. Okay? And that means you recall the words at the end of a list. Kind of looks like this in a graph. Okay? So we're looking at even over 15 words, okay, that was done in this research. Even over 15 words, you can see here that word number 1 was remembered 70% of the time, okay, and then there's a gradual decrease. The words in the middle, words between 5 and 10 in the list, were remembered only 30% of the time. Whereas the words at the end, words, I suppose, 12, 13, 14 and 15, were remembered at least 50% of the time. Why does this work? Well, it works because the items at the end of the list, when you've just heard them, are still in your short-term memory. They're recent. That's the recency effect. So the words or the numbers or whatever that were in 12, 13, 14 and 15, you're still rehearsing them, you're still holding them in your short-term memory. The words at the beginning of the list, if you rehearsed them enough as you went through, you would have used maintenance rehearsal to put those words in your long-term memory. Okay? So the words at the start of the list, because they've been rehearsed, move into your long-term memory. The words at the end of the list, because you're holding them in a phonological loop, most likely, they're still in your short-term memory. Okay? The items in the middle are stuck. Okay? You haven't been able to rehearse them long enough for them to move into long-term memory, and they were too far away to be held in short-term memory because they got bumped out by the last 5 numbers or letters. Okay? So therefore, they're just lost. So the chances of you remembering them are significantly reduced. Okay? Okay, that's it. That's long-term memory in a nutshell. Next video will be about the neurons' involvement in memory. Okay? So remember, I hope you take some notes on this. It's important that you remember the types of memory, and it's important that you remember how memory is stored, how memories are stored in long-term memory. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye.